Okay, now we're into the trial version of Abakosti. We have some options here. Uh, we can go to the settings file, which we'll do in a second, or we can go to the file manager list, which is where we enter and track all the claims files for the program. We'll click on the settings file. Well, let's go back for just a second to the home. Hit the home button, go back to this screen. Abakosti is licensed to a single user, individual adjuster, independent adjuster, or staff adjuster. It's registered in their name with this pertinent information: address, phone number, email. It registers the license date the first time it's licensed based on the setup time of the setup file. We go to settings. This takes us to the main settings screen, which shows us the map. We've got a map here of the various entry screens for the program. Here we have home, defaults and settings, which is where we are now. There's a screen for exporting and importing data, which will not come into play very much in the single user edition, but it may if you have need for it. We can talk about that later. Then there's the file manager screen where we enter new losses. That takes us to the loss notice screens where we enter the information for the loss, the assignment information. Abakosti is designed so that the loss notice allows entry of multiple locations on a single loss or a single claim, and multiple insureds, multiple claimants. So we'll get into that in a bit. Then there's a file manager detail, which allows multiple reporting for a given claim. From that screen, we'll go to the reporter screen, which is where all the various report forms are filled out and worked up and printed. Default is to print them to PDFs. And then we have an area for entering data on business entities, the agents, insurance companies. If you're an independent adjuster handling work for more than one adjusting company, you can enter various different companies here. User info is set up so that the program can be used by a single adjuster working for more than one company. Particularly if he's a CAT adjuster, he may be on the roster of several different companies. This gives you the option to work claims from different sources with a separate user ID here. Down below we have an area where you can enter information which may change from time to time. This is for printing cards. Say if you go to a CAT and need to print up some cards, these are set up for the Avery 10 card 10 card sheet for printing out business cards. The left-hand tab on most of these layouts is going to contain information on and instructions on operating the program, entering data, etc. Conventions just gives a little bit of information on how what various conventions have been used, a few of the conventions that have been used. I want to point out two things in particular. This button here, which will show up on every input screen, is a default settings view. It will take you to the above to this actual layout and to the Abakosti map. From the Abakosti map, and we'll go back and see this. From the Abakosti map, you can actually click on that button and it'll take you to that screen. Click the navigation button up above and it brings you back. Want to go to the loss notices, we can do that. Back here, go to the price list. Takes you there. And so forth. File management has some basic defaults that you can enter here. It's set up so that the file status can be tracked with various codes. I've got a alpha code here for the status of as you work up the file. You can change the status. It will occur automatically on some of the steps. Some of them you'll want to take care of yourself, and this is user definable. If you wanted to convert this to a numeric code, you could, once you learn how it operates and understand the operation of it. These areas are for setting up your file numbers. This is the adjusting company file numbers. You can set it up in various ways so that, we'll go back to the user info. You can set it up so this ID shows up at the start of a numeric sequence. You can choose whether you want the adjuster company or the insurance company code. We don't have anything entered here, but we could set up a separate user record for each company that we're handling claims for and enter that information here. And if we click yes, then it will show up in the down here in the generated prefix. I'm going to say let's see, NCIUA. We've got a yes, and then if I put down here where I want it to show up in the sequence, then it's going to show up down here. Notice there's a blank in the middle. That's because second in the order I've indicated here is the adjuster, but I have not selected yes for the adjuster, so it doesn't show up. If I click the yes here, it vanishes. If you don't want to use it, just take the number out, as we could have done here. And then you have the option of deciding whether you want this to show up in your reports here. There's also up at the top is a button for resequencing your file numbers. It's set up right now with 5 demonstration files in it, and I've designated them as demo.001, and as you create a file, it'll augment that 01, 02, 003, 004, etc. When you want to start your own sequence number, you can do it here manually instead of using the user info over there, and it will be the same for all claims, and it will augment by 1 to whatever starting number you use here. So you could, for instance, use the date of the year, or the year date 2014, followed by 001, etc. It's pretty flexible. I want to go back to the conventions for a second and look at the other item I mentioned earlier, the input prompts toggle. This toggles the screen instructions and input prompts on and off for the whole Abakosti file. We'll demonstrate it here on the file management screen. We can toggle these prompts on and off. Here they're on. Down in the lower left hand corner, we've got some basic instructions about the operation of this input screen, which is used for creating new files and tracking the status of existing ones. We've got some indications prompts for the sequence here. One is to check your current prefix, make sure it's the one you want. You click the new file here, which creates a new file and takes you to the loss notice where you would enter the information. We're not going to do it right now, but we would enter the information here and then go back to the file manager once it was entered. You can see now we've got a new, in addition to the first 5 demo files, we've got a new file started here. I'm going to delete it for right now. And we'll go back to the setup screen, or the settings screen, I'm sorry. We've got some other system defaults, overhead and profit amounts. These defaults operate throughout the whole Abakosti file. So, for instance, the file management back here, the file status defaults are good for all the files in the file management screen throughout the whole program. System defaults, the same applies to all the estimates. We use these figures. Now you can manually change these for each estimate as you do it, but this enters the information first: overhead, profit, and sales tax, and then the various levels, estimate section levels, and starting with coverage, location, building. These first 3 should be left as is. The others are user configurable. Then we have a few more defaults which we'll get into later. One is allows you to automatically delete line items in the estimate without having a warning first. All the other delete buttons will show you a warning first to allow you to cancel before that they actually follow through with the deletions. There's some others that we'll get into later. Printing, most printing would be done to a PDF. From that you can print a hard copy if you need to, but there are options that allow manual printing or printing directly to a printer. And let's see, also there's a default for how you want the PDF file name to be created. We've got it here as insured plus claim number, but we've got a few others. Navigation, most of the screens are the same for both the iPad and the computer. The one exception is the large screen file management screen, which you can use on the computer. A few other defaults in place for the adjuster's signature, FCN number, and an NPN number if he's got one or she has one. And then, this is always important, the adjuster's share of the billing for this company being the company here that he's working for. As you can see, it might be different for, let's go to another. This is North Carolina CAT adjustment. That's a fake company we've set up. We can go to another one, Daily Claims of Virginia of North Carolina here. Another fake company, obviously. And that might have a different share for the adjuster, as you can see here. The next tab, header, allows input of information for the adjusting company, header information which will show up in the reports. There's also a place, if there's a custom logo, it can be entered down below here. If you enter a text, a header, then you need to click the Use Text button and it will show up down below. I'll give you an example. We'll delete that, and we click here and it enters it in the logo field below. Finally, there's a caption tab which gives you the option for setting up to 8 predefined tabs in the reports, in the caption reports and letters. You can put these in any order you want them, but you have to associate, for instance, claim ID here, you can change that and type that to whatever you might want. You can put claim number if you want to. But over here, you want to leave this as claim ID. Now, you might want to put claim ID down on the bottom. You can do it here. Change this to claim ID down here. And now it will show up in your report at the bottom of the list. Of course, it's at the top because we haven't erased it, but you can get rid of that. I'm going to put it back. Claim it. And that's the Abakosti defaults and settings screen. We'll take a break now, and next we'll go to the file management screen and talk about a few things there.